Okay, question 22. Assume the following premise is true. So if Joe has to use an Elmo projector, then he's going to have a headache. If Joe has a headache, he will not be in a good mood. Joe's in a good mood. So which of the following is a logically valid conclusion? So basically using all three of these premises, which one would make sense as a conclusion? So you got a couple different ways of doing this. One, you can actually see if, like, look at each individual answer to see if it makes sense. For example, Joe does not have a headache. Okay. Well, you have to look through each one of those premises and see which one has been like the most specific. The most specific is this one, 3. Okay. Joe is in a good mood. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to use either transitivity, indirect, or direct as a way of moving through these premises. So for example, if you look at option 2, not option 2, but premise 2. If Joe has a headache, he's not going to be in a good mood. Well, Joe's in a good mood, so could he have a headache? No. He does not have a headache. So I'm going to write that over here. Does not have a headache. Why? Because if he did have a headache, he wouldn't be in a good mood, which violates premise 3. So at least as far as I know, he's not going to have a headache. So right now, A is a good choice. But remember that I have to use all of these statements. So right now that's true, but I'm not using anything about premise 1. Joe did not have to use an Elmo. Okay, well, let's take a look. If Joe had to use an Elmo, he's going to have a headache. Well, we know he doesn't have a headache. So again, let's suppose Joe says, I'm going to have to use that. If I use the projector, I'm going to have a headache. And Joe says, I don't have a headache. Well, then, could he have used the Elmo? No. Because if he did use the Elmo, he would have a headache, which violates this. So Joe did not use the Elmo. So Joe did not use the Elmo. Okay, well, that's good with that one. But notice that B is true, B is a good conclusion, and I've used all three of these. Okay. So right now I'm going with B. Let's take a look at everything else. If Joe has to use the Elmo, he will not be in a good mood. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, that just by using premise 1 and 2, that's exactly what's, I mean, by transitivity, C is true, but again, it's not using premise 3. Okay. So no. If Joe's in a good mood, then he does not have a headache. Okay. He's in a good mood, then he does not have a headache, which is, again, is true. It's true because it's using premise 2 and 3. Because if he is, he is in a good mood, he's not going to have a headache. Yeah, because if he does have a headache, he's not in a good mood. So, I mean, using these two, we can say D is a true statement. However, it does not use premise 1. And if Joe does not have a headache, then he did not use the Elmo. Again, it's true because if he did use the Elmo, he'd have a headache. So, I mean, E is still a true statement, but it's not using all three premises. Okay? Because here it doesn't say anything about him being in a good mood. Okay? Anyways, your choice is B, your answer is B, because it's a conclusion that uses all three of these premises. Okay, so answer to question 22 is B. This is one that I can talk about in class again if there's any confusion.